Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Oh, what's happening? I don't understand. Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I am your girl, Carla Renata. I am back. It is 2021. So much has happened since the last time I have seen you. If this is your first time joining me, please, if you're on YouTube, click the bell for notifications and hit that subscribe button and give me a big old thumbs up to let me know that you were here, because I always like to know who came and joined me and hung out with me and all that jazz. If this is your first time here as well, please, please, please know that this is a show where I am a film critic, where we talk about talent and review talent and interview talent above and below the line in the film industry. So I always start the show out with telling you what happened during my week before I came back to see y'all. And I also like to tell you what's going on with the Curvy Critic. So this is what's going down. Because it's a new year, I decided to make some new changes. So we have some segments that we'll be infiltrating from now on, and I'll get into that a little later on. But let me do a little recap, rewind of what my year was like. I spent a lot of time interviewing a plethora of my friends, a whole bunch of my friends. And I just want to give them a shout out because they culminated in some of the best moments that I had on the Curvy Critic. And let's just not be remiss in the fact that, the Curvy Critic went from being over at Black Hollywood Live to me starting on my own. It's been a journey. There's been some mistakes. There's been some missteps, and it's all been a journey. You don't grow unless you don't grow and learn unless you go through those types of mistakes and learn. So there's that. But I wanted to, hi, Michael B. Welcome back. So let me just give a shout out to some of my guests that were also friends, peers, and constituents in 2020. Those people include Miss Gina Torres, who's now on 911. Billy Porter, who hosted the New Year's Eve celebration. Uzo Aduba, who won the Emmy for Best Dramatic Actress in a Series. Michael Ealy, Deion Taylor, Hilary Swank, Felicia Rashad, Tessa Thompson, the directors and choir masters of Gay Chorus Deep South, Ekwa Mansangi, and her leading man, Ntude, and Jamie is her leading woman. Thank you to them. Omari Hardwick, as always, Bex Taylor, Stacey Abrams, Russell Crowe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Titus Burgess, Charlize Theron, Bryce Dallas Howard, the cast of Scoob, Shangela, my girl Shangela, Sterling and Susan Kelechi Watson, Sterling K. Brown and Susan Kelechi Watson, Christine Swanson, and the cast of Sella and the Spades. And there's a plethora more that I'm sure I forgot, but I wanted to give those people a shout out at the beginning, because without y'all, I don't have a show. Without your films, I don't have a show. So I really appreciate you coming over here and giving me your time to interview you and share with the people who watch the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I also wanted to talk about, at the tail end of the year, I'm not sure if I talked about it or not, but I did moderate a discussion with the director, Regina King, and the screenwriter, Kemp Powers, from One Night in Miami, which will be coming out very, very soon. And so you can catch that over on the YouTube Film Independent site under their conversation banner. So if you go over there, you can see the whole conversation with me, Kemp, and Regina, where we're giving snaps and claps and all that to Kemp Powers, rather. I also, y'all, the jury duty people got me. How you gonna have jury duty over the Christmas holidays? I did. I had jury duty over the Christmas holidays, but you know what? If you're gonna have jury duty, that's the best time to have it, because what? It goes really, 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 really fast. So there's that. And then I got introduced to the Clubhouse app. I'm sure y'all know about the Clubhouse app. It has been shenanigans, and some of the greatest shenanigans are they hold auditions online. So if you don't know what the Clubhouse app is, it's by invite only until it goes public. And basically how it works is you get an invite, they send you through all these little instructions. It's like a speakeasy for online users, but it also is a place where you can network and promote your stuff in a way that is very possible without you never see anybody's face. It's all audio. They had these auditions over the weekend, y'all, for Dreamgirls. I cannot. It was pure comedy. And then they had some more for The Color Purple. I can't. It was pure comedy. But You'll be hearing more about the clubhouse, I'm sure. Patty Jenkins. Now, I told y'all about a young lady named Kalia Love Jones. I interviewed her here at the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata not earlier, but later in 2020. And she was at the time a 13-year-old filmmaker. She's now 14. And she had a short film that she did called The Power of Hope, based on a speech that Michelle Obama gave. Well, her and I met about 3 years ago. I think she was like 11 when I met her online. She reached out to me via Instagram. I answered her back. I told her, to try to get her film into some film festivals. Well, child, not only has Miss Kalia gotten her film into film festivals, but she now has had appearances and interviews all over the globe, all over the country, including one on the Kelly Clarkson show. And she reached out to me and said, she calls me Big Sis. She says, Big Sis, check out the Kelly Clarkson show. I have a big surprise for you. Well, it was a huge surprise because I tuned in and Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman, surprised Kalia. And not only did she surprise Kalia on the Kelly Clarkson show, but she also invited Kalia to go on set with her as she directs the new installment of Star Wars. Right? So I'm like, how lucky can you get at 14? Child, at 14, I wasn't trying to make a film or trying to hang out with award-winning directors. I was trying to chase boys. That's what I was doing at 14. So I give snaps and claps to Miss Kalia Love Jones because she is everything. And then on her way home, she stopped and she took a picture in front of Superstore to prove to me that she really was there. And I loved her so much for taking this picture. Like, hey, big sis, here I am. I love her. Congratulations, Kalia Love Jones. We will support you here at the Curvy Film Critic as much as we possibly can, forever and ever and ever and ever. So 2020 was a bear, y'all. It wore me out. I don't know if it wore y'all out, but it wore me the hell out. I was completely just, I don't even have an adjective to describe what it was. By the end of 2020, I myself lost a relative to COVID-19, aka the coronavirus. And for people out there watching this, listening to this, that think that coronavirus is a hoax, that it's not real, that it's a joke, I promise you it's real. And it's really real when you lose a family member to it and that person is no longer in your life. As big, as colorful as my cousin was, it really pains me to think I will never see her face. I'll never hear her laugh. I'm getting verklempt. I'll never be able to talk to her ever again. So please wear your mask. Please wash your hands. Please social distance. And for God's sake, please do not go out unless you have to be out. You are not missing a party or a get together is not going to kill you. You've been doing it for almost a year. Just keep it up until this thing goes down. Okay? Please, I beg of you. Yeah, Michael B, I know. And yes, child, the Rona, they was going to have me go into jury duty. So I'm almost glad that I dodged a bullet on that one. All right. So having said that, I'm leading that into, we lost a plethora of beloved celebrities, filmmakers, sports icons, so many people in 2020. And I put together this little video tribute to honor every single one of them. It was over 100 people, y'all, and that's just the celebrities. There's over 300,000 people that lost their lives to coronavirus. So without further ado, here is my rest in power tribute to our loved ones in the film, music, sports industry.
Zinziswa Mandela, Kirk Douglas, Betty Wright, Brian Dennehy, Little Richard, Wilford Brimley, Andre Harrell, Lynn Shelton, Jeanette Dubois, Lyle Wagner, James Lipton, Silvio Horta, B. Smith, Ellis Marsalis, Buck Henry, Nikita Pearl Wailigwa, Terrence McNally, Dame Diana Rigg, Lynn Cohen, Zoe Caldwell, Max von Sydow, Natalie DeSalle Reed, Kenny Rogers, Sean Connery, Charlie Pride, John Saxon, Terry Jones, Bonnie Pointer, Mary Pat Gleason, Daisy Coleman, Thomas Jefferson Bird, Joe Clark, Margot Champion, Conchata Farrell, Rebecca Luker, Tommy Tiny Lister, Carl Reiner, Anthony Chisholm, Anne Reinking, Lou Brock, Naya Rivera, Fred Willard, Robert Conrad, David Prowse, Irfan Khan, Sujant Singh Rajput, Jerry Stiller, Esther Scott, Armelia McQueen, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, John Lewis, Kelly Preston, Ennio Morricone, Phyllis Somerville, Fred Curly Neal, Olivia de Havilland, Alex Trebek, and Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, rest in power, my lovelies. It was wonderful to behold your work, behold your contribution to our world, and you will all very sorely be missed. All right, so on to a brighter note, so to speak. I'm going to introduce some new segments moving forward just to break up the monotony of y'all listening and looking at me talking. I got tired of looking at myself. So I'm like, okay, let's break this up a little bit and make this a little, fluffy and light. So we're going to introduce some segments. One is going to be the Curvy Critic Minute. So instead of droning on and stumbling through these reviews as I often do, I'm going to try to keep them strictly to a minute. It's going to be hard, but I'm determined to do it. I also have a segment called Around the Curve, which will be some film news that has happened throughout the week. And the Curvy Classic, where I'll take a look back at some films that are celebrating milestone birthdays, anniversaries, whatever you want to call it. And last but not least, instead of saying, this is what's happening next week, I'm going to be like, hold up, wait a minute. So hold up, wait a minute lets you know that we at the end of the show. And hold up, wait a minute is going to be what's going to happen, as we go forward and further. So without further ado, let's get into the Curvy Critic Minute reviews. And moving forward, there'll be some cute little graphics and music and whatnot leading into it. But for this week is just me. So the first film I'm going to review is called Herself. It is a BBC film that is coming out this week on January 8th. It is directed by Phyllida Lloyd, who you guys might know that name from Mamma Mia. Is starred in, written by, and produced by Claire Dunn. She plays Sandra, a young mother who escapes her abusive husband and fights back against a broken housing system. She sets out to build her own home and in the process rebuilds her life and rediscovers herself. Y'all, this film was everything. It had me in the ugly cry. And for every shout out to any single mother out there who has had to deal with an abusive husband and try to work against that and above that and beyond that. It's a beautiful film. It should be streaming online by video demand. Next up, Midnight Sky, which is streaming on Netflix right now and has been since December 3rd. It is starring and directed by George Clooney, who plays Augustine. It also stars Felicity Jones, David Oyelowo, Damian Bashir, Kyle Chandler, Tiffany Boone, and Colin Springall, who plays Iris. This post-apocalyptic tale follows Augustine, a lonely scientist in the Arctic, as he races to stop Sully and her fellow astronauts, from returning home to a mysterious global catastrophe. All I have to say about this is George Clooney can't stay out of space. There he was up in space again with helmets on and carrying on. This film was not what I thought it was going to be. It was actually really good, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It tugs at your heartstrings. It makes you reflect on life. This film was a situation where Augustine was very ill and had to reflect on his life. And some people, when they get very ill and are close to dying, they see what do you call it? Aborigines, not aborigines, but aberrations. They see aberrations of people that they once knew. And his apparition in this particular case is his daughter Iris. Is actually very heartwarming. But child, I don't know whether to be invested in the story with his daughter or the story with the space thing. I don't know. I was confused. But it's on Netflix right now. News of the World is a Universal Pictures uh, movie that streamed on Christmas Day, starring Tom Hanks as Captain Kidd and Helena Zengel as Joanna. It revolves around a Civil War veteran who agrees to deliver a girl taken by the Kiowa people years ago to her auntie and her uncle against her will. They travel hundreds of miles and face grave dangers as they search for a place that either one of them can call home. I love this movie because it takes you back to a time where the news was taken town by town on a horse and carriage, and it wasn't through the internet. Like, they didn't have that technology then. So it was fascinating to watch, to see how people actually got their news. And it was really heartwarming to see how Tom Hanks's character, Captain Kidd, really took a liking to this young girl and was determined to protect her. There is a scene where he realizes that he shouldn't have left her somewhere, and he goes back to get her. The pain on his face, I can only imagine that pain is only coupled with the pain of the realization or the reality that this could have happened to any one of his children. So there's that. Again, it is called News of the World, and it is streaming by Universal Pictures. Promising Young Woman. I talked about this movie before. I saw it during a film festival. It is produced by Focus Features and Film Nation Entertainment. It was released on Christmas Day. It stars Carey Mulligan, who stars as Cassie, and it's directed by Emerald Fennell. Cassie is a young woman who is traumatized by a tragic event in the past and seeks out revenge against those who cross her path. It reminded me of a film in the 70s with Stockard Channing called The Girl Most Likely To, where she gets revenge. But all I got to say about this is revenge is a dish best served female, and Carey Mulligan is doing that. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Wonder Woman 1984, y'all. We finally got to see Wonder Woman. There was all this drama about it possibly being in theaters. Maybe it is, maybe it won't. Well, it didn't go to theaters. It came out online, and man, did it. It hit 100 million worldwide, but then it only got thwarted to making, I think it made 5.5 million this weekend. So the numbers drastically shrinked. But is produced by Warner Brothers and Atlas Entertainment. It was released on Christmas Day 2020. It's directed by Patty Jenkins, as I mentioned earlier, and it stars and is produced by Gal Gadot. It stars Kristen Wiig, Chris Pine, and Pedro Pascal. It's a rewind to the 1980s as Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds her facing two new foes, Max Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, and the Cheetah, aka Barbara, played by Kristen Wiig. I was all about Kristen Wiig in this movie and the throwback to the 80s. That's what I liked about the movie. The plot, it was a little thin. The plot for Wonder Woman 1984, but it was hilarious to see them, wearing fanny packs and seeing people do aerobics. And it was just hilarious to look back at the 80s and realize how dorky some of us looked during that time. It was hilarious. It was funny. It was fun. It was kitschy. It was superhero madness. And it is what it is. It's not supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be, this big swanky thing. But I loved it. A lot of critics hated it. And you know what? FYI, and note to Warner Brothers, the next time a Wonder Woman movie comes out, or any superhero woman movie comes out, how about y'all actually invite women to see the film before they let the reviews come out? Because I'm pretty sure most of these reviews came from a bunch of fanboys who were hating on it for whatever reason they were hating on it. I liked it. It wasn't as good as the first one, but I liked it. So that's what I have to say about Wonder Woman 1984. Now, what are you asking me, Michael B? You saw Soul. Yes. Do I think it will get any Oscar nominations? It'll get a lot of technical Oscar nominations for like animation, sound, things like that. It might get a Best Picture nomination because there aren't that many animated films that are being released this year. It'll be Wolf Walkers, Onward, Soul, and a couple of other ones that don't come to mind at the moment. But that category is going to be real thin due to the pandemic. Thank you, coronavirus. So yeah, I do think it'll get a nomination. But yeah. And when you say you love that movie, I'm guessing you're talking about The Girl Most Likely To, because that movie is pure comedy. Again, y'all, The Girl Most Likely To with Stockard Channing. You can probably find it on YouTube somewhere. All right, so let's get to the next segment, the Curvy Classic. Dun, 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 dun. Again, we will have graphics and everything to go with this next week, but this week it's just me. So one film that I wanted to talk about that's celebrating an anniversary this year, not necessarily this month, but this year, is celebrating a 10-year anniversary, and it is a film called Contagion. It was released in 2011 by Warner Brothers, and it starred Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, and John Hawkes. It was a thrilling alternate universe where a deadly virus outbreak changed the world as we know it. Thanks to 2020, this ensemble movie feels a little more relevant than ever. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure that these people, when they made this movie, did not think we was going to be dealing with a pandemic that was going to keep people in the house for nearly a year. Do y'all realize that it started in March and this is January? We have been in quarantine for almost a year. Just saying. Thank you, Contagion. Thank you, Warner Brothers. The other film I want to give some love to is The Nutty Professor. I love The Nutty Professor. I think it's hilarious. So the remake starred Eddie Murphy as Professor Klump. And it was done in 1996 and produced by Universal Pictures. And the first one was produced by Jerry Lewis in 1963 by Paramount Pictures. So the first one was Paramount, the second one was Universal. And the one with Eddie Murphy was so successful that it spun a sequel called The Klumps. And the sequel called The Klumps starred Janet Jackson. Now, what most people will remember about Eddie Murphy and this Nutty Professor reboot are the prosthetics. And that thing where everybody goes, Hercules, 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 that came from the Nutty Professor. It came from the dinner scene in the Nutty Professor remake with Eddie Murphy, where he is dressed as everybody. He's doing all he had prosthetics and he played the mama, he played the daddy, he played the uncle, he played the grandma, he played everybody. When I tell y'all, Eddie Murphy, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated people in Hollywood. He's a freaking genius. I mean, whose mind thinks of that kind of stuff? Eddie Murphy's mind, that's who. So I'm looking forward to when he busts out with Coming to America in a few months. Can't wait for Coming to America 2. It better be good too, because that is one of my favorite old movies. Any Black person alive is running around quoting lines from Coming to America 2. I promise you. Not Coming to America 2, Coming to America, because everybody loves that movie. And they love making fun of the part of the movie where in the wedding that boy sings Queen to Be. I'm your queen to be. That song is pure comedy. Love it. So basically, if you've never seen the first Nutty Professor or the second Nutty Professor, this is the deal. The Nutty Professor is like this timid, nearsighted chemist teacher who discovers this magical potion that can transform him into a suave, handsome Romeo. It's the premise for the 1960s version. It's the premise, for the 1990s version. And it's like this Jekyll and Hyde thing, but from a very comedic standpoint. And it's funny to see what happens when the concoction wears off in both instances. So if you haven't seen The Nutty Professor with Jerry Lewis and you haven't seen The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, I highly suggest you do yourselves a favor and check it out. Hi, Brandon. It's good to see you. There is no late here. It's streaming, so there is no late. But I'm so glad that you joined me. Yes, Soul was great, and Sparrow Spark Shot. Oh, thank you for reminding me. So I think I talked about Soul beforehand. If I did, no, I couldn't talk about Soul before we broke. So let me talk about Soul real quick before we break. Soul is produced by Disney. It is now streaming on Disney Plus. It has been streaming on Disney Plus since Christmas Day. And it basically follows Joe Gardner, a young Black aspiring jazz musician who kind of just thwarted his dreams, pushed him to the side, stayed with the teaching thing and never really full throttle went for his dream of becoming a jazz musician full time. So what happens is he gets this opportunity from a former student to join this jazz quartet. And then just as that's about to happen, he falls into a manhole and sees his whole life pass before him and is taken on this journey by 22, who is voiced by Tina Fey, of what his life was and why, they decided to like end it short. To me, it was like an animated version of It's a Wonderful Life. My biggest criticism about Soul is this. I love the fact that they took a chance, Disney Pixar took a chance and made an African-American animated character. It's the first time they've done so in their franchise. So kudos and snaps and claps to them for that. I wish that they had either stuck with the Inside Out kind of storyline, AKA It's a Wonderful Life, or stuck with the storyline that deals with Joe in New York City, because that animation in New York City and in the barbershop and at the jazz club and the fingering of his fingers as he's playing is absolutely spectacular. But I wish they had chose one or the other. I didn't like the fact that it was split like that. That kind of, it annoyed me, for lack of a better way to say it. It just annoyed me. But I do applaud them for taking the chance and making an African-American character there. And the movie, the short that the short that shows before Soul is called Barrow. And it's about this little guy trying to find some place to live that's quiet, and he ends up springing a leak, and then everybody comes to help save him. There's no dialogue whatsoever, so you have to pay attention and just watch it. And I really, really, really loved it. But yeah. So that is it. But hold up. Wait a minute. That is it for this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I am determined, y'all, to keep this to 30 minutes unless I have a live interview, which I have some pending. Can't tell you who they are yet, but I have some people pending that will come in probably closer to February than the beginning of this month. But yeah, so hold up, wait a minute. Next week, I'm going to talk about some award seasons predictions, beginning with the Golden Globes and who I think might take home Best Actress. And we're going to go through the whole list of some people I think might be coming up and through there. I'm also going to do reviews of American Skin, Nate Parker's latest film with Spike Lee. I'm going to talk about One Night in Miami, because I can talk about One Night in Miami. I talked about it before when it was in the film festival circuit, but I'm going to do a deeper dive into it next week. MLK FBI is a documentary by Sam Pollard. I'm also going to talk a little bit about that, do a little deep dive into that. And Pieces of a Woman finally is going to hit a screen where you guys can watch it. It's going to be on Netflix on January 7th. Yay! That is it, y'all. That is it for the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Again, if this is your first time joining me, give me some snaps and claps and some thumbs up to let me know you was here. I'd appreciate it. Click that bell for notifications and subscribe to the channel. You never know what I'm going to be doing or who I'm going to have on the show. It's just a plethora of different things that we like to do over here, especially me acting crazy with my wild and crazy hair. I want to thank and give a shout out to Brandon and Michael B, who always have supported me. And let me just give a shout out to Michael B. Michael B actually has been watching the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata since day one, when it was Black Tomatoes over at Black Hollywood Live. So, brother, 146 shows in, I appreciate you. I really, really do. And just wanted to publicly thank you for that. All right, y'all. So, I wanted to mention one other thing. There was a video I have one video I want to play for y'all. I do. It's Around the Curve. Did I play Around the Curve? I didn't. So my last segment is called Around the Curve. And what it is some news and reviews. I've signed myself out and didn't do Around the Curve. So Around the Curve are not news and reviews, but news of things that happened throughout the week. I want to play that for you before I sign out. Here we go. Around the Curve. The Rocky franchise gets a new writer, and it is not Ryan Coogler or Sylvester Stallone. The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that MGM hired a new screenwriter for Creed 3. That's right, y'all. It's Michael B. Jordan, who will reprise his role as Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed. And director Patty Jenkins confirmed to Dinner Geek she purposely left the role of Barbara Cheetah
ambiguous at the end of Wonder Woman 1984, leaving the door wide open for the character to return in the next chapter of the Wonder Woman franchise. When a social media influencer posted "Oh, to Remy," the song went viral. More than 200 million TikTok users watched. The result, Ratatouille, the TikTok musical, streams for the final time tonight at 7 p.m. Tickets are $5, available exclusively at todaytix.com, with all the proceeds benefiting the Actors Fund. This is a picture of all the women who wrote, directed, and produced films this year, and that is it around the curve.
That is it around the curve. Let me just run down some of those women that are in that picture. Some of them that are in that picture are Channing Godfrey, who directed Miss Juneteenth, Ekwa Masangi, who directed Farewell Amore, Gina Prince Blythewood, who did The Old Guard, and Rada Blank, who did 40-Year-Old Virgin. And I'm going to shout out some other ones. Bryce Dallas Howard, who did Dads. Nikki Caro for Mulan. Miranda July for Kajillionaire. Julia Hart, I'm Your Woman. Julie Taymor, the Glorious, Josephine Decker, Shirley, and Kitty Green for The Assistant. Autumn DeWilde, Emma. Eliza Hittman, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Emerald Fennell, we talked about Promising Young Woman. Sujata Day, my girl who was here earlier this year. And Lisa Cortez, Liz Garbus, plethora of female filmmakers. There's no reason why none of these women should be nominated and have their work celebrated this year. Y'all hear that, Academy members? All right, so that is it. Yes, it was fast, and it's meant to be fast because I don't want to be here all day talking to y'all. No, I'm just saying. I just wanted to make it really, really fast and to the point and not belabor it. So again, this is your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. Thank you for joining me for this edition, episode 146. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, love, peace, and hair grease, and deuces till the next time.